Okay, so this is an analysis of A Certain Slant of Light by Emily Dickinson. And so what I've done for you is I have actually line by line, I've gone through and I've explained what it is. Because let's face it, poetry is pretty hard to understand, especially this older stuff. So if we look at this first stanza, because that's what we call a paragraph in poetry, if we look at it, this is saying there is a sloped light presumably coming in through a window. It is winter and it is afternoon. The light crushes the light crushes the oh, that should be the light. The light crushes the, I'm not sure what I meant there. Like the heaviness of songs on a pipe organ in church. Okay, so what's it asking you is, what is that saying? So if we think about it, we're thinking about, she's talking about the light. Okay, so she's talking about the afternoon light that comes in through the winter morning, okay, or afternoon. So remember that our seasons are symbols. So we know that winter is probably going to be referring to some sort of death. Okay, so this light comes in, and the slant or the slope of it coming in. So we've got a like a window here, and then the sun is out like this, and the way that the slant of light and the way it hits the floor, okay, so that's the light, is the same as that heaviness that the pipe organs in a church play. So what we're talking about is that when we think of being in church and we think about the loudness and the heaviness of the pipe organs, we think of it as being, like she says over here, oppressive. We think of it as being, pressing on us and like overwhelming. Okay, so what she's saying there is that this light, okay, and not just the light, but the slant of the light is oppressing. Okay, so you're thinking, well, how can light be oppressing? She's going to go on to tell us. Okay, and we know it probably has to do with death. This light gives us a pain that is blissful, okay? But that pain doesn't leave anything to be seen, but rather a change inside ourselves. Where can we feel this shift or change? Okay, so she says that this life gives us a pain that is blissful. So when we talk about a pain that's blissful, we think about something that occurs that might be painful, but that pain is worth it. So if we put the pain is worth it, the pain is obviously something that is internal, because we can't see it. Okay, so it's the kind of thing that's in our head. But it comes from a change that is outside of ourselves, where we can feel this change from one thing to another. So we're talking about this change that's probably talking about from darkness to lightness, or lightness to darkness, because we're going from the light, right? The slant, the lower the slant is, the darker it's going to get. So we're talking about the change from light to dark, right? And what could that symbolize? You finna die. You got it. Death. Okay, that change, okay, we can feel it, but it's a change that comes from the outside that affects us inside. So in other words, our thoughts shift to, what is it like to be dead? Or what is it like to be alive? It's not something that can be taught by anyone. So it is an undeniable grief, a domineering suffering that comes from the air. So this question of what what does it feel like to be dead or alive? What does it feel like or mean is different for everyone. When the light arrives, the world is silent. So when this light that is arriving, this, remember we said this lightness to darkness, this change, this moment of of having to think about this moment of thought, everything seems to stop. And it leaves the question what it means to die. Okay, so the whole poem is asking us about what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to be dead? And I think even furthermore, because she uses a lot of oxymorons, like heavenly hurt, which is an oxymoron, and an oxymoron is when we use two things that are opposite in feeling. So heavenly is definitely something that's positive, hurt is definitely something that's negative. So an oxymoron, okay, is something that leaves us sort of confused, like feeling two different ways. So the poem